happy, what is today? Thursday, February 16th, coming to you live on LinkedIn and elsewhere. And I'm super thrilled to be here. We've got a great 30 minutes scheduled for you. Let me kind of just set the stage for you. 89% of distribution leaders believe that we need to reimagine the traditional employee value proposition. 89%. Why is that? And how do we do it? That's what I'd like to explore in this 30 minutes together. Today, talking about empowering your employees, a strategic approach to employee value proposition. 89% of us believe we need to reimagine our employee value proposition. Why is that? How do we do it? That's what we're going to talk about today in the next 30 minutes. So welcome, come on in everybody. Let me know that you're here in the comments. Please say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. And we are going to get started in exactly 2 minutes. Thanks for being here. Let me know you're here. Thank you guys. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Tom, I see you, man. Thank you for being here. Jim, thank you for being here. Bethany, thank you for being here. Howie, thank you for being here, man. Okay, I'll put you up there. I haven't seen you in too long. Hello, Dirk and all coming in today from Wisconsin. Excited for the dancing. I was doing a little grooving today, wasn't I? Especially looking forward to the words of wisdom. Hey, absolutely love seeing you, Howie, and everybody else. Thanks so much for being here. We've got a great, I think 20, 30 minutes here about empowering employees, strategic approach to employee value proposition. So let me get right to it one more time. In March, right around March 1st, we're going to be introducing our second, let me get right to it. In March, we're going to be getting to our second, publishing our second Future of Distribution report on people and talent and the like. And here's all the research that we're going through right now. And one of the things that has stuck out is that 89% of leaders throughout distribution are telling us that they believe now is the moment. Now is the moment in time where we must think deeper, more strategically to reimagine our employee value proposition. So why is that? And then how do we go about reimagining our employee value proposition? That's what I'd like to begin the conversation with you today. So let's look at the why first. In our first Future of Distribution report, when we talked about reimagining leadership last fall, we looked at the different forces and we came to the conclusion of what we call, there's this great redefinition taking place where there are the confluence of three forces. There are these external forces, there are these internal forces within our four walls, and yes, we got to talk about this more. There are people forces. So external, internal, and people forces are all colliding together in untold ways. So for example, you take a look at these three converging forces. And by the way, take a screenshot of this if you want, because we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But there's these external forces of the supply chain and inflation and labor and technology. Those external forces are moving into our business, causing us challenges with things like attracting talent, retaining team members, the blending of generations, management succession, and that is blending with these people forces, right? Our people have been disrupted in untold ways in the last couple of years, and we're going to talk about this. Their needs, wants, and desires have changed as a result. So there's this great redefinition. These three forces are converging in untold ways. And what's happening is, I believe we see that everything, everything, one more time, everything is being redefined right now. How customers buy, the needs of our employees, how we market ourselves, how we communicate, what technology we need to adopt going forward. Everything is changing. Now, let me just, in the comments, does that feel right to you when I say that everything is changing? And if we look at the bottom of this slide here, how, when, and where we work, at the core of this, for today's conversation, in this great redefinition, even how we work, where we work, when we work, I think even why we work, is all being redefined. And I think as a result of these forces, this statistic that's coming out on the research that we're doing right now tells us that 89% of us believe that we must reimagine our traditional value proposition. Now, this really came to light to me when I was in Bristol, Indiana on the We Supply America tour last year, and I stopped at Robert Weed, and it's just an amazing organization, amazing transformation 2.0 is going on right there in Bristol, Indiana. The forward thinking, the visionary thinking, the willingness to disrupt the status quo, to build for the future is really phenomenal what's going on there. And I had a chance to sit down with Will Weed. You'll hear from him, the CEO of the company. I had a chance to sit down with Stephen Rommel, the president of the company, many of the employees of the company. And I also had a chance to sit down with Margie Rodino, who's the chief culture officer. And we're talking about these forces of change and what it means to the culture at Robert Weed, what it means to the employee value proposition at Robert Weed. And she really summed up this why in the best way I know. And so we captured that on video with the video crew. And if you don't mind, let's just take a look. Why do 89% of us believe we need to rethink our employee value proposition? Here's Margie Rodino, the chief culture officer of Robert Weed.
And for me, I'm one of those people that has 38 years of experience and likes to go, oh, you don't change your salary structure more than once in a year. Okay, we've done it twice, and I'm probably looking at a third one, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where we're at.
Yeah.
We got to meet the people where they are.
So what does that mean? Meet the people where they're at.
When you look at the fact that there's fewer individuals in the workforce now,
Yes, yeah.
right? You can talk about the Great Resignation, you can talk about the Big Regret, you can talk about all these, interesting little titles that, everybody's given these. But in the reality of it all is less people want to work the way that our baby boomers worked. Fewer people want to work in the environments of my whole life is this job.
Interesting. There's fewer people who want to work in the way that our society has structured work.
That's exactly right.
every time I hear that, and by the way, on my keynote presentation, I show that clip because every time I hear that, she just stops me in my tracks. I think as leaders throughout distribution, every one of us need to have that statement up on the wall in front of us because it's so true and it impacts our future. There are not as many people in the workforce who want to work in the way that society has designed work. What are the ramifications of that in our recruiting process? What's the ramification of that in our retention process? What's the ramification of that in terms of our employee value proposition? I'll tell you one of the things that I learned, and by the way, Robert Weed, again, learn from them. Here's everything I've learned about the different things they're doing to reimagine their employee value proposition. But one of the things that's not even in those pamphlets is, think about it, there's not as many people who want to work in the way that society has designed work, from 8 to 5, let's just say. And what they found out in Bristol, Indiana, is that there are a lot of individuals who want to enter the workforce, but the 8 to 5 doesn't fit their schedule. You know why? They've got to drop their children off at school at 9, and they have to pick their children up from school at 3. And in years past, we, the employer, would say, figure it out. Not today. Employees are saying now, you figure it out, right? You figure it out. So Robert, they've redesigned work. Remember where we work, when we work, how we work, why we work. It's all being redefined. And so they're listening, they're understanding, and they've redesigned their work schedules around school pickup and drop off. We must rethink our employee value proposition. Maybe something a little closer to home, maybe a little bit more fun than that. I was going to say maybe not as strategic, but I think it is strategic, but maybe simpler to execute. Everybody knows what happened this past Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs, Bethany, Kansas City Chiefs, right? World champion, Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, everybody, right? Great things happened there. What'd you do on Monday? You did what I did, right? Kansas City Chiefs won. We watched the Super Bowl. We watched the commercials. But what'd you do on Monday? You did what we all did. We went to work. But not in Bristol, Indiana. Not in Bristol, Indiana. Let me see. Where did I have that? Oh, here, sorry, I missed that. Not in Bristol, Indiana. In Bristol, Indiana, at Robert Weed, they had the day off. When you take a look at their employee value proposition, right? They have completely reimagined their value proposition. And right up here is creative days off. Who got Super Bowl Monday off this year? We did. We did. They understand that the Super Bowl is pretty much a holiday here in the United States, right? And they understand that people want to be with family and they want to go light into the night, so on and so forth. So they really have taken to this reimagining the employee value proposition in a big, big way. Now, so what I said was earlier, 89% of us believe, right, that we must reimagine our employee value proposition. What I skipped over here was that another statistic that's going to come out of this research that we're going to publish on March 1st is 87% of us believe that the needs, wants, and desires of our employees have in fact changed. Yes, you know what? My need to actually be there to drop my child off at school at 9 and to pick her or him up at 3 o'clock, that's important to me. That's a real need and a desire that I have. Employer, figure it out. Yeah, you know what? I think the Super Bowl is the third most important holiday of the year. Figure it out is what they're saying. So what is an employee value proposition? When you take a look at what we're talking about here, reimagine employee value proposition. Our employee value proposition is what an employer promises their employees, right? It's that total employment experience that we are creating. And in years past, that employee value proposition was pretty simple on a sheet of paper. Here's your pay, here's your number of days off, here's your holidays, and here's your health benefits. That was pretty much it, man. That's what we negotiated for. But we have to rethink it. And it has to become more strategic, as we're talking about. Guys, is this making sense? Let me know if this is making sense to you. And as you're doing that, let me set it up again from a strategic perspective. You know, we heard from Margie, the Chief Culture Officer at Robert Weed. But during the We Supply America tour and in the film we created of Robert Weed, I also had a chance to sit down remotely with Will Weed, the 33-year-old, wicked smart, passionate, driven, visionary CEO of Robert Weed. And this need to understand their employees and ensure that they package their promise to their employees, that they package a total employment experience is truly good and strategic. And I got about a minute and a half of my conversation with Will, and just take a listen if you don't mind.
Let's create some stasis here. Let's create some equilibrium so that we can treat our workforce better. I think Elkhart County has one of the best working populations, one of the best labor populations in the country. And I think we treat them poorly. There's too many ups and downs. We're too quick to lay people off. We're too quick to chase every last penny or that profit number. And I think there's a better way. And I think we can get more out of this county and more out of our team members if we create some stability for them. So stability to take care of your kids, stability to take care of your family, stability to take care of your personal finances. Education and development is a huge passion of mine. I don't think it's always 4-year and PhD type degrees. I think it's, to me, it's all about how do we take our laborers and elevate them to engineers and technicians so they have a higher wage and more ability to take care of their families. And frankly, will commit more to the community than and our county long term. So that's where my passion is. I think we have a lot of opportunity to improve there, and again, that's kind of where this clash of kind of the old school mentality is. We're just gonna crank and grind through this. If I had $1 for every time I heard we've done this before, we're gonna grind through it, we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll be okay. But what about the people on the floor in the production and warehouse environment? Are they going to be okay? When we lay off 20% of our workforce, back in 08, 09, we were the poster community for laying people off and then bringing everyone back. We're going to go through a similar cycle to that time right now. And that really frustrates me. I guess my question would be, what have we learned in the last 10 years and what have we improved, or did we just make a lot of money?
When you hear Will, there's a lot in there to unpack. And when you hear Will, what's driving that? And yes, the profitability of the business. What else was driving that? I think it's one word. It's humanity. In our Future of Distribution report last fall, 93% of us believe that humanity is going to play a larger role in how we lead going forward. I just saw that. I just heard that firsthand in what Will was talking about. How do we help them live better lives as an employer? How do we give them stability? How do we help them grow and develop in the ways they want, and on and on and on? So why? We've talked about that. How? Will, Margie gives us some ideas. Here are 5 elements. Here are 5 elements that you might consider as a roadmap to start reimagining your employee value proposition. All right. Number 1 is how you design work, right? This whole hybrid workforce, something we're all thinking about. The work redefining of shifts as they've done in Bristol, Indiana. But we have to rethink how work is done, and is it being designed, yes, to be productive and to ensure the quality of life that our employees are demanding. Number 2, the material offerings. We alluded to this, right? What is the pay? What are the day offs? What are the holidays? What is your healthcare benefits? Are absolutely, again, this was employee value propositions in the past. So we need to continue to think about that. Number 3, Will talked about this, the development and growth of the people. What's the investment that you are making in your people, not just to get the job done? We're going to have real important research on that on March 1st. Development and growth, not just on helping them develop the skills and capabilities to get their job done, but the development and growth for their careers. And more importantly, not as important, is the personal growth and development. Got to think about that in reimagining our employee value proposition. Number 4, I believe, is connection and community. In your employee value proposition, what are you designing to ensure that your people feel part of something? Yesterday, if you were with me yesterday, we talked about the family cultures and the like. We have to include connection and community in the value proposition. And then number 5 is meaning and purpose. You have seen the data, you have seen the statistics that today's workforce wants to make an impact. They want to ensure that they are doing work that is meaningful and is purposeful. So yes, we must reimagine our employee value proposition. Those are 5 elements that we can begin thinking about. Let's recap what we've said. 87% of leaders in distribution believe that the needs, wants, and desires of their employees are in fact changing significantly in just the past several years. And then 89% of leaders in distribution do believe that we must reimagine our employee value proposition. And this is why this inflection point that we're at in terms of our people and our talent strategies, this is why I'm just so excited that last week we introduced the first Human Resources Summit for HR professionals in distribution. And we're going to hold this 2-day event down in Nashville, Tennessee on April 27th and 28th. And you can find all the details at www.events.unleashwd.com/Human Resources Summit. And I really encourage you to go there because to sign up and register. We're about 50% sold out already in just 7 days of it being open, but it's really going to be a fantastic day. 2 days. Let me just tell you the companies that you're going to be in company with when you come. Here are the companies that have already registered: Porter Pipe, Fromm Supply, Erie Materials, Red Ball Oxygen, Jekyll Distributors, Equipment Controls, Bosch Art, Bender, Marsh Electronics, DSG, Leonard Syrup, Torco, First Supply, COE Distributors, Gustave, Larson, Robert Weed is going to be there. In fact, I'm so thrilled. All of this deep thinking about reimagining employee value proposition. I introduced you to Margie Rodino just a bit ago, who has just shaped my thinking so darn much. She's going to be on stage with us, sharing with us the lessons and the processes and how they are absolutely rethinking their culture, their people, and their talent strategy, and yes, their employee value proposition. So you can go to that website that I gave to you, and here's the live website. You'll get all the details of the summit here. You'll hear the story of the content that we're going to be doing. You can check out the agenda. You can check out the speakers that we have, and you can buy your tickets right here. It's really a phenomenal value, $1,000, and then if you bring 3 or more, $899. And it's going to be just a fantastic day. You can find out everything at www.events.unleashwd.com/HR Summit. And you guys, I am so damn committed to helping distributors remain relevant, profitable, and sustainable in this age of disruption, in this age of the great redefinition. And yes, digital transformation is absolutely critical. And yes, innovation is absolutely critical. But where does all that happen? It happens with your people. And your people and talent strategy, it typically has been pushed down. It typically has not risen to the level of other strategic thinking in the organization. And it's time that we come together as an industry to come together and focus on people and talent strategies with human resources leading that change. And so I really encourage you to join us. Again, here are some of the titles of the individuals who are going to be joining us: Senior VP of Human Resources, Presidents, Chief Operating Officers, Human Resources Generalists, Human Resources Directors have signed up. Senior Vice President of Finance and Human Resources, HR Supervisor, Vice President of HR, CEOs and owners. If the human resources and people and talent strategy what makes their way up to your responsibilities, you need to be here with us on April 27th and 28th. So again, 89% of us believe that we must reimagine our employee value proposition. Why? 87% of us believe that the needs, wants, and desires of our people have significantly shifted in recent years. And that's now on us to rethink our people and our talent strategies. I hope these 5 elements that we shared with you, I hope the stories and the case studies that I've shared with you from Robert Weed and others here today stimulates that thinking. If you want to dive deep, join us on April 27th, 28th in Nashville, Tennessee at the first Human Resources Summit for distribution and HR professionals in distribution. I'd love to see you there. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. Thanks, everybody.